I thought, Google was really struggling, and then they go and release, Gemini, and it was just insane. And now, like, their models are just so wild. I actually shifted from my daily use app being primarily ChatGPT to Gemini, which is like, just didn't expect that 2 months ago. But, AutoGPT came along. It basically was prompting itself. As you give an AI agent a goal and a job description and things to do, and off it would go. And so AutoGPT was that moment where I think AI changed dramatically. And I think that this Claude bot release was also pretty similar. And so the amount of actions taken on the web will dramatically increase. It probably won't be the same in the sense of like, users, like humans actually using these websites. But I'm genuinely excited for how the web's adapting in this kind of new phase. For me, for example, I had this recent thing where I had some customer calls or client calls, and off the back of the last week of calls, I would ask, what are some LinkedIn post ideas based on what I said this week? And it's like, just the speed by which you can get to valuable insights is insane. If you just start transcribing. Through one interface, you can literally collate all of that, synthesize all of that, and take an action which probably would have taken days or maybe even a week or more to do in literally minutes. And so, like, as an individual, you become super productive, you become augmented if you connect the right things into an MCP. I think it's a skill that, ultimately people need to learn. Companies need to be having a transcript of conversations internally, externally. This becomes like this constant knowledge base to be able to be drawn from. It's extremely powerful. But then I came up with an idea. I was like, all right, like I can't really write the book on Finder because I think that's Fred's to do. Like he's got, his first book was Go Live, and it kind of tells a part of the story. But like, I'm sure like if you ever wanted to do another book, I think it's his to do or Frank's, right? But I was like, I'm going to create a book, write a book called Finding Myself. And like, it's more about my personal journey, like post Finder, like, how I came to the decision, blah, blah, blah. And the kind of, my thing is like in Kokoda, literally, having these cards, because you don't have much power or anything about like physical cards, and there's like a videographer that's doing it with us.
Kokoda?
Yeah. So like, this Aussie comedian Merrick Watts, he's like a radio kind of show host. So he's doing it and a few others. My idea is to have these cards and literally read them out as prompts to kind of answer like how, personal development type stuff. And then record the whole thing, and then like it's kind of pre-work to selling the book, and then sell the cards with the book.
Ooh,
it's kind
nice.
of like
Interesting.
I randomly met the head of product for Diary of a CEO, who actually built the conversation cards for him. So
are they still going around, those cards?
I don't know. No idea. He used to pump them a lot on the shows, but I haven't heard about it in a while, so maybe not.
So it's currently the head of product still there? She
left like a year ago. She's a great intro if you ever want to chat to her.
Is she an Aussie, Australia?
She's an Aussie that moved to the UK. And it's kind of fractional chief of staff for all sorts of stuff. But I said to her, like, hey, do you think you could construct a media tour for me? And like, I was just like, it would just be, because she's got connections, she could probably pull it off. Because I don't think I've got a deep enough network in the UK to do it. She's like, yeah, I could do that. And
so she does the fraction. So she's fractional chief of staff.
Yeah. So she does that. So that's her new gig. Like, and she helps creators basically monetize and grow and all that sort of stuff. So
nice.
Yeah,
she's got a good track record.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, exactly.
You just dropped that podcast, and you where do I sign?
Yeah, exactly. So I think she's going to try and pitch Frank from Kinzo in to what's his face, Steve Bartlett. So
really?
Yeah, that'd be a good one if you can land that. So
to get on there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, he invited me to go to Kokoda, and it's like, we're going with a cool crew, like, American and so on. I was like, yeah, I like doing tough shit. So like, sounds good, like right up my alley. And I also can't see how I could logically do this.
Yeah.
It's like physically, like in terms of like my time, like it was like, it's like a forcing function for me is like, all right, I'm going to streamline my life before I can do this trip. And then do something pretty wild. And I was like, all right, I think I can do this if I have another why. And I thought about it. It was like, to be off the grid, writing a book. Because I think you've got to, for me, it's like, if I was to write a book, it's more for me or for my daughters almost. And then I'm like, if I write it for that audience, don't really care about what anybody else thinks. It's like, it's cathartic, just get it out there sort of thing. And I'm not going to try and claim to be anything other than this is my life experience for my own journey, and this is what I did to get to an outcome, which is not that significant, but it's out there.
Yeah.
Off you go, have a read if you want. If not, it was not for you guys anyway. But like, anyways, so that's my idea. And yeah, so doing this, like, I think it's like 10 days or something like that. You fly in, and then like there's pockets where you have internet, like not many.
Why does it worry you so much that you can't have internet?
It's not well, where I go to immediately is like for emergencies, like family emergencies. Like I'd hate to be like, say, celebrating finishing Kokoda, and then like by the end it's like, oh, Jeremy, your wife called and something happened to your daughter or something. I'm like, whoa, like, it'd just be like, I hate that. Like I like being available. I'm a big problem solver, like for my family and friends, and I think to not be kind of that Batman moment or whatever, like you get like summoned, kind of thing. That's where my first fear is, and the second, honestly, just stems off that. Like I know I can physically get it done. It's gonna be hard as hell. I know it'll be like intense to pull off the kind of streamlining of things in advance to make sure that I'm not like letting anybody down in my life or professionally, like with some of the advisory stuff I'm doing. And it's also a guilt factor. It's like kind of I used to struggle, man, with the concept of being selfish until I made it my word of the year last year, and literally just went on this quest to ultimately discover myself and or reconnect with myself. I think the word gets a really bad rap. It's like being selfish is bad. I'm like, okay, what about, if you think about the kind of root of that word, there's so many positives positive nodes off the word self, like being selfless, self-care, self-aware. Like it's a really interesting thing how like one word like selfish can just make the whole thing just be bad. And ultimately, like they're saying like, look after yourself so you can help others. But I'm more connecting to energy now and realizing that energy, if managed well, is ultimately the core source of being able to achieve what you want to in life, and turning up the way you want as well for your friends, family, at work. And I actually came up to this discovery through doing a 10-day water only fast. I literally last year just locked in a family member close to me I thought actually had stage 4 cancer. It was thankfully it was a misdiagnosis. But it was
pretty serious,
dude. It was wild. Like literally total medical negligence. Yeah, that's the level.
Stage 4 as well,
dude. Like no joke. And like I for like probably 3 or 4 months, like everyone's just preparing for the worst and kind of making plans as if like experimental treatment's the only option, so on and so on. And then like the final appointment's like, actually, yeah, it was just inflammation. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is insane. And so I actually went and looked up. There was a missing document that I never got access to. And I went and asked like for this document. The doctor never shared it. And on the paper, it literally says, this is not consistent with, whatever, cancer they thought it was. Versus, and I think the doctor was so busy, it was like running like 45 minutes late to the appointment, all this sort of stuff. Rolled in, it was like, yeah, sorry, mate. This, you got this issue. It's, read it as consistent with ultimately what he thought the diagnosis was. So I went on this water only fast, like reading about the effect of kind of cancer treatment and the efficacy of cancer treatment when you're fasting. So you basically have better results. And so I literally sat there across from them. I was like, hey, this is the last bit of food I'm having for 10 days. Literally ate the food and just water only. And I did things like, had a constant glucose monitor, fasting salts. I was tracking with everything, and not doctor supervised, so it's a bit crazy. I do recommend if anybody wants to do a water only fast to do that.
How much weight did you lose?
It wasn't for weight loss, but I lost a lot. Like people like do like what the this is insane. So probably like 5-7 kilos, something like that. But I felt amazing. Like I literally was so focused. I didn't think about food at all the whole time. And actually I rolled into this punk concert, like, and my wife was in Chile for a little bit, and rolled into this punk concert for a band that I hadn't listened to probably for, I don't know, 15 years or something. And so like really reconnecting with myself in this process, and yeah, just on this, it just kind of kept rolling from there. Just had this momentum of like self-discovery and yeah, just reconnected with the energy, and that was it, man. I just like, so yeah, anyways, there's been a journey. And I'm like, I'm going to write about this thing. again, even if it's just for myself, it's easier to remember stuff as it's happened. And so that's, one of the whys behind this Kokoda trip potentially. And yeah, it's pretty gnarly, but we'll see if we do it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, man, for sure.
When someone asks like what you do today, like where you are now, how do you answer?
Oof. I think for me, like, ultimately, there's three values I have is connection, growth, and helping people. So it's a trilogy of all those things whenever I can. So like, I like working with good people, building connection with them, and helping them grow their business. Like, so that's the core, like, and that looks like so many different permutations. It was like really unusual. Like when I made the announcement, that I was, leaving my operational role at Finder, had hundreds of companies reach out. Like initially it was like 170 companies or something.
When was that? Sorry, when did you stop?
I think like September last year. Kind of wrapped up most of my operational stuff around mid-October. I was negotiating a few deals through to December, with like, big contracts and stuff like that. And I'm still doing, bits and pieces here and there, like, kind of bigger problems that we need to kind of figure out together. Yeah, this is like September last year. And I kind of did this LinkedIn post. A mutual mate of mine actually helped me write it, Steve Butler, and literally sat there in the Central Coast. And it's like, I bootstrap Finder to 100 mil plus revenue. Now I'm showing others how. Apply here, or something like that. It was like the most shortest post ever. And it just went crazy.
Blew up.
Yeah, it blew up. And so, yeah, about 170 companies at the time reached out, and now it's nearly 400. And it created this data problem for me. I was like, well, who are these companies and why are they contacting me? So I needed to know more about them. So I sent out these forms to kind of qualify them. Are you like pre-revenue? Do you have staff? Are you full-time, part-time? How are you funding this thing? And kind of where I landed was, I want to be able to help as many people as possible. And I got really interested in, things like online community building, courses, group coaching, and things that you're ultimately, phenomenal at, which when we first connected, I learned so much from you on that. And so I'm exploring ways of getting to that goal. But in the meantime, doing, just kind of looking under the hood of all these companies and figuring out like how I can help them. And it's pretty broad because at Finder, I ran a lot of functions. I was like product, tech, data science, growth, operations, and international expansion. So it's like
bit of a mix.
It was a lot. And so, initially I was doing some AI app builds, and that's a heap of fun. So you have like a founder and an investor and kind of an ambition to build an app. And so, found some AI devs that would just jump on that and I kind of run that for them. And then I was teaching some startups from StartMate growth hacking. So I kind of went in there and initially was just telling my founder story. Then they invited me back, like, hey, they want you to do a session on growth hacking, and did that. And now I'm the stream lead for product-led growth, this cohort for StartMate. Okay. So man, it's a mix of things. But ultimately, I want to have as much impact as possible for my time, that I, and kind of help as many companies as possible, learn, the things that worked from me, and also from my mistakes as well. So that's the goal.
Yeah. When did you leave Finder? Was it like how long were you at Finder for? 16 years?
Nearly 17. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. So I was thinking about this today before we came in, because I've never been at a company for that period of time, like as an employee and also as a founder.
Yeah.
But I know, like, leaving my first company, Cohen Handler, after 9.5 years, like, that was wild. Like, just like, I've shared this story before. So when I was exiting that company, I started Buyers Agent Institute in the final year. So, and Buyers Agent Institute, BAI, was generating revenue. That's what like really helped me exit, because I was like, hey, I've got something good here. Here's the next thing, right? And so I was really clear on it. But still, like, when I was exiting and I transitioned out, I was like doubting myself heaps.
Oh man.
Like fear of, I was like just fuck, like this whole, I was so stuck with my team and the day-to-day, like just everything was very habitual.
Yeah.
And so it was a big wig out for me, to be honest with you. Like getting out of the office, like I was so used to being in an office and I was working from home. And like it was just a big transition for me. Like I guess when I was thinking about your journey, like it's like double the amount of time that I spent.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like how's that going for you?
Well, man, it's interesting. I had certainly similar feelings. I remember I had all these companies reach out, and it was really overwhelming because I didn't want to say yes to the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And initially I thought I was going to have some time off, and like that was my plan. And then I felt bad about even having time off, and I booked this it was like a 3-day or 4-day trip to Fiji, and I booked it, and I was like, after I booked it, about half an hour later, I was like, this is silly, and I extended the flight and kind of like the accommodation and whatever. So I did a longer trip, which is super cool. And the way I justified it was I was going with the head of strategy for APAC from Google. And so that would be a really cool trip to learn some stuff. And it was like, I was still like in this work mode. And actually, she's a really good friend. So as the wrong way to kind of position the spending my time. So yeah, that happened, the trip, and it was actually amazing. I did a lot of journaling when I was over there. This book, I think it's called The Writer's Way, Julia Cameron.
Okay.
He just Steve actually told me about this, and I was journaling every day, like just filling pages. You have to do I think 4 or 5 pages a day, and like just crazy seeing how it went from like fear and kind of lack of self-belief and concern to this. You could just see how I just became more and more confident over the course of a few weeks. And I think it came through the validation you quickly get. It's like, maybe I am more than like a one-trick pony, and it's not just this finder thing. And there are people out there that kind of value what I can give. But yeah, with all these companies reaching out, it was still overwhelming. And I remember I was in Chatswood. I just done a session with a mate of mine, Braith, who is like a LinkedIn gun. Braith Lung. He does the LinkedIn stuff for Kinzo and so on. So we're in Chatswood, and he's kind of giving me some thoughts on my approach to LinkedIn. And after the session, I just sat there on a bench, and he had left. I didn't move for like 45 minutes. I was like, I'm like stunned. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. And then I get this email in. It was a friend introduced me to someone who I couldn't even tell you the name, or I'd have to chase my email, go back my emails and find out. But it was like, here's a coach that I know. You should jump on a call with them, and they're really cool. And I just opened up the email, didn't research them, dialed them. They were literally at the international airport going to Thailand. And he's like, man, I'm a bit busy right now. Do you want to catch up in a couple of weeks? So like, can we just do a session now? And so like he's going through security with his AirPods in or something. Of course he said that. Yeah. And we do this like 40-minute session, and he basically just like on the spot gave me like 3 bangers. Like, but one of the key ones that just stuck with me the most was, you're not selling your time, you're selling outcomes. And that was really, really important because I was freaking out about, I guess, Finder being such a time-intensive business. Like it was global, lots of crew, and at times it's like really taxing, like mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever. Like it's just an intense journey, and to go back into that quickly was my kind of reaction. Was like, I can't do this, and then it just really gave me the confidence to start putting it out there, more kind of outcome-based ways of working with people. And I think to your point of kind of like you had that kind of lead up of people, ultimately doing your course and so on. It gave you a bit of confidence. I think getting some of that early confidence quickly allowed me to go, actually, you know what, this is going to be fine. And I will do interesting things besides Finder. And there's lots of opportunity for me out there. And yeah, just by December, my mind just went quiet, and I was just like, I'm good. Like, and I literally, something shifted. It was actually just before we had met as well. Like I just went into a better zone. I was just like, man, this is great. And honestly, like just cool things started happening. Like, I mean, when we met, you were so generous with like your thoughts on how I could do things. And like, I was just like, man, like literally just met this guy, and he's like, knows everything I'm trying to find the answer to. And it's like, here you go. Like, this is how I do it. And I was like, this is just so awesome. So, and it's been happening like almost every other day, like just these kind of experiences where, I don't know, just being very fortunate, to have a lot of help out there for me. So it's been cool.
You seem like a prolific networker. I mean, like, yeah. Is that, it seems like you actively go out to, connect, right? Yeah.
Like, just before this, I did a call with a guy that I always told myself I wanted to meet. Tim Sulo, works at Ahrefs. It's like a big SEO software company. Been there forever. Similar sort of journey to Finder. He bootstrapped from 8 mil to 150. he was going to be in Sydney in March, and I was connecting with him because we've got an idea in the AI search space that I'm launching, and I was like trying to get his perspective. Anyway, spoke for an hour, like literally totally legendary. And I was like, how did I not have this call earlier? We connected on so many fronts, like, and I was like, this is just, yeah. So I don't know. I'm just kind of remembering, I wanted to speak to that person. I'm like kind of reaching out, and people are, saying yes is really cool. And then I don't know, like just a lot of people also inbound as well that want to chat that I'm learning so much from as well. So I'm kind of in this R&D mode. I'm really trying to understand more about myself, more about business building actually.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is like almost the average age of the people I'm hanging out with is getting younger and younger. Like,
I feel the same.
oh man, like I went to this AI event for a company called Build Club. It's got a community of AI automation builders essentially. And I think everybody was around 18 or 19 years old. I was only there for 20 minutes, and I was like, hey, who should I meet? Met this guy who runs this hacker house in Sydney. Went and spoke at that hacker house and did a talk on my journey and also why I'm bullish on Australia and building startups here. And yeah, literally everyone's like so young. And yeah, I guess I'm just trying to look at the formula or the ingredients that like, what's the unique remix of things that if you're, 18, 19, 20, or have even been hanging out with like a 17-year-old videographer, like who's crushing it. Like how are you guys building businesses? And like, I think they are doing things differently. The crazy thing is that I think because they had access to YouTube and I didn't growing up, it's like they know about everything, dude.
Yeah.
It's like they literally know about like cap tables and Series D, and I'm gonna wait till this and raise it. I'm like, what's going on here? Like it's like these kids are like just so skilled and yeah, it's been fun, man. So yeah, I did this photo shoot with a guy, Toby Edwin, who is 18 years old. Literally sat with me for 2 hours in Double Bay. It was like, all right, man. He had this Notion file prepared. It's like, this is what I've been thinking about your brand. I think this should be your tagline. Your color's orange, so you're gonna have to buy this new iPhone with it's orange with a terracotta case. By the way, you're free on Tuesday. I booked a photo shoot, and like literally this LinkedIn photo now, and like he crafted my LinkedIn.
Amazing.
And I was like, I don't know why you did this, but you're an absolute legend. He's like an 18-year-old philosopher. Such a smart dude.
It's wild, hey?
Yeah.
I was with this dude last week, like this successful entrepreneur. I thought he was like 30s. I didn't ask, but obviously I thought he was like mid-30s. Then I was with someone who's like, nah, he's pretty young. So I just hit him on Insta again and say, hey, dude, how old are you? And he's like, I think he was like 24. I was like, fuck. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're right. Like, and a lot of the people that I'm speaking with and collaborating with, like, they're younger now. They're smarter. They're just doing things differently. I feel like they're at the full forefront of like where we need to be.
Totally, man. I think that's like what I observed was there's this different rhythm, different kind of drum beat that's out there, like with the kind of young kind of entrepreneurs in Sydney, at least the ones I'm exposed to. I don't know, kind of other cities in Sydney, but it just feels different. They're Silicon Valley connected. They're not here to wait for permission. They're like, they're going to like do their time working in a company. Like they're literally like just ambitious. Technologies, in their fingertips because they don't have to wait until they raise money to hire engineers. Like they're literally vibe coding whatever they need. It's kind of absurd. And so it's the rate of like, I think it's extreme velocity and volume of like kind of output, which really drew me to this community.
Yeah.
There's something called Next Chapter as well. Luca Marcioni, who kind of brings together this young crew of like, young ambitious leaders essentially in business. And man, it's just everyone knows everybody. It's like, and I think the thing I said on Tuesday was like at this hacker house is like, I don't think the difference that I'm noticing is like they are so willing to share amongst each other, and they're just like sharing. They don't go like, I'm not going to tell you this, like you could take my idea or whatever. Like everyone just like, here's how I do it.
Yeah,
and
open book.
Yeah, total open book, man. I'm like, that's killer. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's this community that's just thriving. It's just like absolutely crushing, dude.
So cool.
Yeah.
So when you were a founder, were you like networking hard, like you are now, or is it different?
I was very purposeful in my kind of when I need to learn something new, I would absolutely obsess and immerse myself in that thing. So, man, so many examples of this, but kind of began when I met Tim Ferriss and read 4-hour work week, and it was kind of just looking at the way he did things, and I was like, I'm pretty sure there's parallels to how I do things as well, but kind of taking some tips and tactics from him was key. But what I used to do was like, okay, say I need to learn about, there's so many weird examples, but here's the weirdest I can think of: matrix organizations. There's not something you just wake up out of bed and you just suddenly know what a matrix organization is and how they operate. So it's like when you have like multiple reporting lines, some are dotted and like they're cross-functional and cross-geo, and like big companies like GE have like 9 levels of matrix. So you'd like have one person with like all these like org chart relationships, and like for a decision you go to that person around this sort of thing. It's a whole mess.
Fuck.
It's
painful.
It is painful. And the reason why I looked at it was my competitor in the US, Node Wallet, had a matrix organization. I was like, that's interesting. And I was building this BizOps function out in Finder where the BizOps team would be embedded into each of the functions and supporting it. And it would allow me as the COO to have a lot more reach and kind of impact across all the functions, even if I didn't directly manage them. And so what I did, I read 3 books on matrix organizations on the plane, went and met someone from GE that could tell me about it from the inside, literally like consumed everything I could find on like Medium, Twitter, whatever, like every podcast, and just like came back and I was like, so here's my org chart for the BizOps team. And yeah, like I just, I would, I'd sometimes read a book, go and meet the author, say, hey, that section doesn't make sense. They're like, yeah, I wish you, I agree. And I wish I rewrote that section. Actually, if I had a chance to do it again, I would. And it's just like, yeah, whether it be a podcast, a conference, a consultant, an agency, the client on both sides, like the competing agencies, like I just immerse myself in the thing. And you kind of need to do that when you're scaling a company, right? It's like, you pretty much need to be a better version of yourself every 2 to 3 months. And you normally need to upskill in something that you literally have no idea how to do that thing. I remember data science. I was like, man, I got to build a data science team. So I was like, all right, I'm going to read about it. I'm going to, watch videos, listen to this and that. Ended up doing a 12-week course at General Assembly, trying to hire the teacher, which led to him. He said no. But he introduced me to someone that somehow gave me the confidence on the data warehouse we should use, like blah, blah, blah. And like kind of off we went and we had a data science team. So it's just like total immersion on these like little quests for 2 or 3 months, really.
It seems pretty extreme though, I guess, the way you're doing it, because I guess it makes sense then as to what you said earlier around how much shit you're across. Like it seems like, growth, ops, product, all these different marketing. Because it seems like you obviously immerse yourself so relentlessly in such an obsessive way that like you then can own it and drive it. But I haven't met too many people who can run like that. Like most people are pretty focused in like product and they don't venture outside of product, or ops is a bit more diverse. But like I feel like people usually are pretty narrowed.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if I did it the right way, but it certainly allowed me to have that kind of breadth of responsibility and accountability. But kind of what led me to that approach as well was a book called Rework, Jason Fried, who was
I've read that.
Yeah, and he speaks about like, first being able to doing the thing before you delegate, essentially. And so conceptually, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And so I just go on this deep dive, learn about it, and then know how to design the function, what type of leader we need, where the kind of alpha is or the edge that you kind of need. And then you just get, so much, so deep into it. And then the interesting thing is like, you can step out of it and like, just never think about it again for like another 6 months because you hired the right leader to go and run it.
Yeah.
I was like that with crypto, man. I was obsessed, like literally inside out, like built this crypto education platform at Finder. And I was like, yep, I'm done now. Like moved on to the next thing, but it's just, I don't know why, and again, I'm not sure if I do it well necessarily, but for me, it allows me to go through this constant evolution where I learn about things. And I guess I'm partly driven by, there's friction inside every organization. And if you have the wrong organizational structure, you can really overcomplicate decision-making.
Yeah.
And things just take far longer than they need to. And there's this whole like negotiation between like, in resource planning and all sorts of stuff, which is just largely unnecessary if you can have a singular accountable person that has all the growth levers they need at their disposal. So for me, I think in the kind of the mix of things I was running, I was always really seeking to try and remove the friction to make it really easy for the company to pivot towards whatever it needs to do strategically at any point in time with the least amount of effort possible. So that was my kind of playbook, I guess, as we grew Finder over the years.
Just quickly, how did you meet your co-founders?
Yeah, so I was initially reading Marketing Magazine back in like, I don't know, 08 or something like that. And Fred used to have a column at the back of the mag on like, marketing sort of stuff. And sometimes I had a different perspective to him on what he had written. And I connected on Twitter and, he'd tweet about things as well.
Sorry, what were you doing at that time?
I think I was at uni.
Okay, you were at uni.
Just, I was like tail end of uni. Yeah. I was still working full-time in my parents' company just prior to that. And for about 6 months at this CMS company that was effectively trying to stop businesses from spending 30 to 40 grand on Yellow Pages ads and instead sell them websites. So I did this for a short stint. And yeah, on Twitter, Fred put out a tweet like, should I buy, I don't know, it was like Nokia N95 or an iPhone or something. And I've always been really early to buy the latest technology. So I bought the iPhone maybe a matter of days after it launched. And I was like, dude, iPhone is hands down the craziest thing of all time. You should definitely get it. And then we connected on LinkedIn. We ended up going to the same conference together. And he initially was saying, hey, I've got this, couple of agencies here. You want to roll there? And about 2 minutes in, so I forget that. I got this new idea, which was effectively, there was like a group of ventures, about 27 of them, experiments, a better way to kind of call it, many of which were kind of struggling, some were doing okay. And one of them was Credit Card Finder. And so I worked on that. I got it unpenalized because I had a Google issue at the time and effectively got some sweat equity in the business in the process. Then a few months later, maybe, I don't know, I've got to really trace back the exact time, but a few months later, I met Frank. We went to this dinner because like that is earn out period. And, Frank was obviously making sure that like they got their second check and like, things were, all buttoned up and smooth. And it had grown it pretty significantly at the time. And, got to a point where like, I was already all in. And the guys were like, on the tail end of that earn out, we're like, yeah, like, let's do this. Like it's going to be a thing. So we just, we had the Beppy's or something like that in Darlinghurst.
Yeah,
like,
Beppy's,
that's when I met Frank at Beppy's. And just rest is history, man.
That's crazy. So they were both business partners.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were both on earn out.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you met
and they were schoolmates originally, and then like there's a whole story there as well.
Yeah. So are you deep in Bitcoin?
I used to be. I wish I was as much as I was back then, but yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, because I was pretty late to it. Hey, like I was on a boat whale watching with some people, and this was about a bit over a year ago, and they're deep in Bitcoin.
Oh man.
And I was just listening to them for for 5 days. We're on a boat. By then I was like, fuck, like I've got to get into this just because like there was just a few like just basic things that I just don't, I felt ignorant never looking into it.
Yeah.
Like I never researched it.
Well,
never.
The reason I became obsessed is I just got married, went to New York, was on this subway, and you can see crypto ads on the subway, and it's like whenever there's ads for something like on New York subway or whatever, it's probably going to be a thing. So I gave it to my US team. They had a crack, and then I ended up taking it on as a personal project to kind of build out this crypto comparison. And when we got into it, I think Bitcoin was 900 USD.
Coin.
Yeah. And by the time like kind of things popped off, it was like, so this is Feb 2017, and then by December 2017, like Ripple and everyone was talking about it over Christmas barbecues and whatever. It was obviously it was going insane, but I have this kind of method of spotting signal early and investing in it, and I guess taking the risk that it sometimes doesn't work, and often probably doesn't work, but sometimes it does very well. But ultimately in that moment, I was able to use early signals on like things like Google Trends versus like a tool that gives you lagging indicators like average monthly search volume. So instead looking at like kind of it's trending before the tools show you sort of thing. And we ended up building the biggest, oh man, it was insane. Like one of the biggest crypto comparison / education platforms globally. We launched into 23 countries. and we became a top 10 Binance affiliate globally. And man, like some of the stories were, kind of printing at Christmas time. Like each story was getting like 200,000 views, 100,000 views, and yeah, it just was. Again, I had to really obsess to understand it and do it in a compliant way that kind of, find out has important licensing and stuff has to follow. But yeah, built up this team, and then kind of eventually, a few years later, moved on from running the crypto side of the business. But yeah, for that moment, man, it was just like one of my favorite things to do is capitalize on a trend. So yeah.
You got in early.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's funny now, like where we are now, February, like just seeing on X, just when the market starts to drop, I haven't been in very long. So like, but I'm conditioned to know like not to sell. And like, I felt like two mistakes people make the research that I did with people in Bitcoin was, one, they sold when shit got bad.
Yeah.
So they lost.
Yeah.
That was a big one. They sell. And then two is they want money and they get greedy. So they start buying they diversified. And then they get burnt. And then, so I just thought my strategy was like, buy Bitcoin and just don't sell.
Yeah.
And don't buy anything else. It's like, that's just my strategy. But it's interesting to see what's happening now. Like everyone's just freaking out.
Oh yeah.
Thinking like it's gone and it's over. It's interesting. It's watching the psychology.
Man. Totally. And it's one of the things that who knows where it all goes, but at least, have a portion of your portfolio towards that. Like it's a smart move to have something.
Yeah. You said AI search before.
Oh yeah.
So like, is that where you're focusing now? Like,
yeah. So, what did I say? Obviously Finder had a huge amount of success in SEO. I was really, really early into geeking out on SEO, probably 25 years now. And, the interesting thing is with the disruption of the channel, like, ChatGPT launching and Google shifting its platform to be more like ChatGPT, I guess, is I still feel there's a huge amount of importance for the channel. And a lot of people are going to go like, well, there's no traffic anymore. It's all going to go away. So it's not important. For me though, the way I look at it is like, firstly, like these answer engines and ChatGPT and so on, they're saying things about your brand. So you need to be able to control what's said. And it's not like from a place of, manipulating that, though some people are doing that effectively right now. It's more like these crawlers can't understand things about your company if it's not publicly published. Like they have to learn based on information that's published. So it's important for companies to go and produce content and make sure that there's press around them and kind of touch points online, whether it be like a Reddit thread or positive customer reviews and all this sort of stuff, right? So I think how your brand turns up online really matters. And I think the other thing is like people looking at the traffic problem in the wrong way. I genuinely believe that it's going to be like a bit of a dip. Maybe we'll see less traffic to websites, and I think there'll be an explosion in traffic. And what I think was going to happen is that these effectively experience
explosion in traffic,
like new traffic to websites. Yeah. And what's going to occur, in my view, is that your website becomes a surface area that's primarily used by an AI agent. And if you can prepare your business, both like how it turns up online, reputationally, and so on, and also prepare the website to be agentically used or build an app into ChatGPT, the things that consumers take, the things that take time to do right now will suddenly become very fast to do. And so if you remove the effort, people are more likely to do that thing. So I think that things like, if you take Finder, like switching financial products or whatever it is, if you can suddenly do that agentically and an AI agent goes and does it on your behalf, you'll suddenly start seeing more than 20 to 30% that maybe compare in that market to maybe 80 or 90%. And so the amount of actions taken on the web will dramatically increase. It probably won't be the same in the sense of users, like humans actually using these websites. But I'm genuinely excited for how the web's adapting in this kind of new phase.
What about if you're like a service-based business with a website? Like, do you same thing?
I think it's the same thing. I think every service-based business still needs to really look at this stuff seriously. Like now's the time to go and build out your solid reputation online. Again, it's like, if anything, the service-based businesses are often too busy or don't prioritize content and some of the stuff. So like, imagine everything was just like kind of wiped clean. There was like almost like a hard drive kind of wiped clean. There's no information other than like what was already published like up until this point, and it's decided at that moment, this is what the human race knows about your companies. It's like, dude, that's crazy. That's like, now's the time to build. Now's the time to ship while the web works the way it does. Before, all these players like, OpenAI build their own indexes, and then they maybe don't need indexes and don't need to crawl the web and whatever. Like, it just completely changes.
Yeah.
So I think it's more important than ever, really. And I think I managed to kind of really understand a few of the big levers in AI search over the years with Finder. We became really good at getting press for the business, which helps, build trust and authority in a space, great at content production. We really did that at scale. Technically, had a very, strong SEO platform as a website. And I learned all these things, and I think there's an opportunity to really share that with the world. So yeah, I'm launching something called Search Leaders pretty soon, and doing that with a mate of mine, Tom Critchlow, in the US. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. We, are both, I guess, industry veterans, and yeah, just gonna put this information out there, invite people into this online community, and really try and help the industry evolve and kind of upskill and educate people to how they could not only, like, I guess, as an SEO, like, be relevant in this kind of next phase, but as agency owners, agency owners need to evolve their offering and kind of change the construct by which they sell their services.
Yeah.
And if you're a C-level exec, like whether it be like a CEO or a CMO or whatever, you need to understand how these channels work. And so pulling together, a few different groups of people into this community. And I think it's going to be a whole heap of fun, and looking forward to sharing the knowledge.
Sounds exciting. So it's like B2B, B2C?
Well, yeah, effectively, it's mostly for B2B.
B2B.
But as you come onto the platform, you'll get grouped together. Like, if you're an agency owner, like with agency owners, if you're an executive in that group, because I think they all need different type of help, And yeah, the idea is that we bundle some software as well when you join up, and so you get like an LLM visibility tool and other tools like that as part of your membership. And weekly workshops. Tom and I have a pretty cool network in the SEO space, and hopefully we can kind of give back through sharing all this knowledge and guides and resources.
Sounds interesting. Like, just me listening to you as a founder, I'm like, hey, like, I'd want to understand that, even though I'd obviously probably engage the agency and go, do it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But I still want to understand, like, hey, what's the landscape look like? What do I need to be prepared for?
Yeah.
Like, that would be super interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because a lot of companies do work with agencies.
Yeah.
And I think in the executive kind of group that we're putting together, I really want to help them understand how to better work with their agencies. So I think there's like often a knowledge gap and kind of ways that they can engage with an agency to get more out of that arrangement. And I still am a firm believer in having, parts of your core flywheel in-house. Like, I think totally delegating every single marketing function. I don't come from that camp. Like, I'm personally of the view that, like, especially given how much information is already out there to learn about these things, I think you could have, even as a small company, like an in-house generalist, like a marketer that can kind of engage with specialists, either consultants, contractors, agencies to get things done, but like in-housing the kind of context so that, you can switch agencies and you don't lose the context when you end the contract.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, you at least have to have someone that has, like, a good understanding of what the work's been, done, and it gives you that kind of flexibility to move between companies if it's not working out for you. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in that.
So if you're a small business, right, and let's say you're someone listening to this now and you outsource content, for example, whatever, like, do you think most small businesses should be like doing that internally?
Oh man, 100%. So, like, I think the biggest concern I have right now is that when ChatGPT was first launched, people were like, wow, like, it can produce this content. How good. Literally Control C, Control V, put it onto the internet, like copy pasting. And yes, perhaps as someone that wrote content up until that point, maybe you would have rated yourself as a 4 or 5 out of 10 versus ChatGPT's 8 or 9. But if that was, what ChatGPT produced, I think that you should, as a model, think and go, you know what? If everybody has access to that same platform, that now needs to be 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So therefore, what does 10 out of 10 content look like? And that's going to be like the grounding that you give it in terms of your company's data, the crafting of prompts and prompt chaining of prompts, the tone of voice, the configuration, and kind of the chunking of the work. So you do it in a way that is unique and high effort. I'm a massive believer in genuine, like most of the time, if you can do something that's higher effort and difficult, I think most companies won't do that thing that way. And so if you can make a difficult thing easier to do by scaling it with some technology, there's a lot of edge in that. So for me, in-housing is critical because no one knows your story better than yourself. And I think that story is the uniqueness. There's a lot of things that happen inside an organization that, unless you're inside the walls, like you just won't hear it and you won't be able to make sure that becomes a part of or is woven into your content strategy. So for me, like a huge thing in my view is like companies need to be having a transcript of conversations internally, externally, obviously with permission every time. But this becomes like this constant knowledge base to be able to be drawn from, and it's extremely powerful. Like for me, for example, I had this recent thing where I had some customer calls or client calls, and off the back of the last week of calls, I would ask, Granola, which is what I use, what are some LinkedIn post ideas based on what I said this week? And it's like just the speed by which you can get to like valuable insights is insane if you just start transcribing. So I think it's a key habit. I think companies need to start improving their APIs and data sets and making them available for agents to use. Again, very, very important. Like it's unstructured information, sure, like LLMs can do stuff, with that, and that's the whole point. But it's very powerful when the information is also structured and built into APIs that are usable across platforms. So I just think there's a phase of kind of retooling, building the foundations and tech required to ultimately power whether it be your content or marketing automation and so on. And for the companies that do it, I think they'll have a huge advantage over the next 2 to 3 years.
I find for copywriting, Claude a lot better than
definitely.
ChatGPT, like significantly better. I don't know about you.
Totally agree. Yeah. And it also does change from like month to month, week to week, day to day.
That's true. That's true.
So like, when Sonnet was released, it was awesome, and Opus and all that sort of stuff. But Claude tends to be more creative at this point in time. But also I thought, Google was really struggling, and then they go and release, Gemini, Flash, and it was just insane. And now like their models are just so wild. I actually shifted from my daily use app being primarily ChatGPT to Gemini, which is like, just didn't expect that 2 months ago. But they just, I guess that, and again, if you go back to the point I was making, like the amount of data Google has for training data, it's kind of expected that they would be in this position, having Gmail for email, maps, photos, like literally the web. Like they kind of built this moment. And I mean, they invented TensorFlow as well. So in 2017, that was the technology that underpinned all this sort of stuff. So it's, as an organization, they took a bit of time to get to this point where they can actually genuinely be crushing like they are. But and it changes from day to day, like whichever model company or whatever is the one to use. Yeah.
Seems like, tech stacks just need to be completely reviewed, consolidated, like, because you can save now so much cost. There's so much better technology that's getting produced that, like, I don't know, just with businesses that I've been speaking to, even my own business, like, just you've got to do a review on tech stack.
Oh man, 100%. Like, I think one of the things I said to the engineers at Finder about a year ago was I don't really want to hear about technical debt anymore, because I truly believe, we, at the end of kind of a release, we'd spend all this time on technical debt and really focus on cleaning up and all sort of stuff. In my perspective, I think the problem we should be talking about in technology is like, can my customer cognitively handle another product release right now? It's like, because then we've hit the pace of releasing of technology that I think we should be operating at. And it's like, it's become so fast to release products that we should be so like high volume and like put all the things out there that we wanted to build, that you start really thinking is like, okay, we need to like sequence this stuff so that the messaging is better and the communication matches up with the right marketing strategy and so on, versus, well, we don't have enough resource to build this thing. Like, you're gonna have to prioritize one or the other sort of thing. So it's more like, obviously I don't mean that in like a binary sense, but as a mental model, I think for me, the way we build technology is shifting, and the culture around engineering needs to shift with that as well.
What excites you like about this new tech wave that we're facing? Obviously you're speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs. You're obviously getting into this AI search, but I guess now that you're out of Finder and there's this ample opportunity, like what keeps you up at night?
Yeah. Well, Claude bot last week. I literally went to bed at 3 a.m., man. I said it like, I'm obsessed with kind of like these viral moments. And I was like, already working till pretty late. And I was like, oh man, this Claude bot thing's popping off. It'd been launched about, I don't know, 48 hours before. I was like, I'm going to install it. And so installed it, put out this LinkedIn post, which got to like 50,000 impressions or something. And all these people, it's a setup guide for Claude bot. But I believe that these moments are actually really, really important. I unfortunately can't remember on the spot, but there was a similar moment when, I do remember it actually. Auto GPT was released, and I was like, oof, that is very interesting technology. It was like a GitHub repository that was just becoming really popular. And it basically was the I guess the pre-work and the kind of blueprint for where AI agents were built on top of. So you had ChatGPT, and you could prompt ChatGPT, you can get answers, and that's cool. And it's kind of like this prompt by prompt sort of thing. When Auto GPT came along, it basically was prompting itself. As you give an AI agent a goal and a job description and things to do, and off it would go. And so Auto GPT was that moment where I think AI changed dramatically. And I think that this Claude bot release was also pretty similar. It's like, wow, okay. It made it so easy to give control of my computer's interface and access to things like integrations into messaging and ultimately whatever you give it access to. Like is pretty broad. And then the accessibility for me was so key. Like I'm able to talk to this thing on WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever. And like you can queue up agents as well. So like queue up the prompt, so you just smash it with like 10 messages and then it'll literally go and do the 10 things in a queue. Or if you're using ChatGPT or Gemini right now, it's like one by one as it's answering. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's like a Claude code in your pocket kind of thing. And obviously, Claude's got its own offerings as well. But for me, it's a serious bit of tech that everybody needs to be looking at right now.
Anthropic are do you think they're market leaders?
I think that they are the market leaders in a few things. I think the way that Claude Code works is phenomenal. That entire system is just a game changer. And I think they're about to make a huge shift in the way we all work with Claude Co-work. Effectively, I think having Model Context Protocol, MCPs, like they were early to effectively build these ways where applications can interface with AI agents can interface between each other and get access to your information and so on. And with co-work, it's like, yes, you could have your own MCP server and code these sort of things in Claude Code, but now it's like the familiarity and ease of interface like ChatGPT and literally giving you that kind of UI. Like we saw it happen with ChatGPT. Like as soon as they built a UI over the top of their GPT APIs, it became nuts. Like I had access to the GPT-2 preview API. I didn't do much with it. But then when you see the world, suddenly everybody's using the same APIs with an interface like ChatGPT. It was a game-changing moment. So co-work, I think, is going to be massive. And just, yeah, I don't know, man. It's exciting times. That's all I can say. Yeah. Like, it's just, I'm so up for this. I just love like fast moving, fast moving, kind of lots of things to learn, lots of things to trial. And again, it's like, maybe it's about the networking. It's like kind of, for me, it's like, how are you doing that? Like, and kind of connecting with people and getting information in ways that, it's just not yet published. It's like, it's kind of wild. Like I remember when I was really young building computers at like, I don't know, 13 or 14 years old, you learn how to build a computer through chatting to a mate. It's like, so how'd you do that? So you put the thermal paste under the heat sink and whatever, and like, oh, sweet. And then you turn it on and it'd blow up, or sometimes it wouldn't. And so you're like, it's expensive parts. So you make sure you don't do it that way, or, next time you put more thermal paste or whatever. So I think it's kind of like that because the pace of release is so fast. Yes, you can kind of watch YouTube videos in 3 or 4 days time, but there's an edge in also learning it yourself and not just like handing over all the keys to AI. And it's like, I never have to learn another thing again. I think it's like still remaining in the kind of forefront of this stuff is really critical.
You said Model Context Protocol, MCP. I feel like there's only like a small minority of people who actually like run their day-to-day through MCP.
Yeah.
Like, do you think most people should be operating like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually thinking about running like a workshop or something on this because, I think like ultimately, it was the CTO of OpenAI put out this video probably about 18 months, 2 years ago, and he kind of painted the vision of how he saw people using their computers. And I'm trying to, is it Brockman? I think, yeah, surname Brockman. And yeah, he's like, he saw people ultimately interfacing with their computer through this chat interface and kind of laid out the foundations of how UX will be for people going forwards. And so MCP is fascinating for, again, if you want to engage with it through a chat interface, but also how your company can engage with other companies is insane. And if you can have these discoverable MCPs where you can't predict the use case for how or why the information the MCP has access to will be used, I think that's the extremely exciting thing. It's like you kind of publish it out there and it's like, hey, if you want to connect to this thing, here you go. And I think it can really change the game for some businesses where perhaps they are a great data company with like one kind of surface area, like an application that they own that you can use. But what if you introduce a new business model, like selling your data or making it available for other companies to build companies on top of? I just think it's an incredible time for companies, and I think they need to spend the time to clean up their data, prepare their workflows and systems to be integrated in such a way that is AI first and AI native.
What about as an individual? So like let's say you own a company. Let's say just you want to go about your day to day.
Yeah.
Like just, do you think you should be operating on MCP?
Oh, absolutely. So, Claudebot's a really interesting kind of example of this, but in a more basic sense, like at minimum connecting in like your email and messaging platforms and documents and all this sort of stuff. And you're able to bring together all of this information in a way that makes it streamlined and synthesized. A really good example is you can have your data lake, or something like Google BigQuery, which has access to, I don't know, all your company. Say you're an agency that's an AdWords agency, has all of your data in there, your client reporting and all this sort of stuff, and you've got like transcripts from your client calls, and you've got your deliverables, which is once a month I need to send a report and update them on the strategy and so on and so on. Through one interface, you can literally collate all of that, synthesize all of that, and take an action which probably would have taken days or maybe even a week or more to do in literally minutes. And so like the as an individual, you become super productive, you become augmented if you connect the right things into an MCP. And I think it's a skill that ultimately people need to learn. It's like, I don't know if you remember back in the day, like we had to figure out how to do a VLOOKUP or something in Excel. It's like, you don't just know that stuff like by default. And so spending the time, like literally, probably in a work day as well. Like, at Finder, we had this hackathon where it's like, I want everybody to learn how to, code with the new IDEs or upskill in ChatGPT, and you just create space in the day for yourself and for your team. And I think it's phenomenal after creating the space, how it changes the way you work. So, yeah.
So if you're someone listening to this and let's say you've never heard of MCP and you're just like, fuck, what's this? Or you've heard of it, but you're not using it like individually, like how would you suggest they go about just getting it, like implementation, like getting it set up?
Yeah, well, probably the simplest way is just to start with connectors. So pre-built connectors into ChatGPT or Claude, like integrating like Notion, Gmail, whatever, and you'll get an idea and a sense of how this information can be used. And then each of these platforms can connect to MCPs as well. So you might have something like your website and install a plugin in WordPress. So you have an MCP that connects into your WordPress. And you can suddenly start interacting with your WordPress website through a chat interface and like making changes on the website through MCP. Something called Context 7, which is kind of like a protocol for connecting into various content management systems. And most CMSs are going to exist as part of Context 7. So you can MCP into like Webflow or WordPress, Wix, whatever it is. And again, instead of like logging into the platform to do the thing through chat, you can take actions from chat outwards on the system you're trying to interact with through that interface. So again, starting with integrations and then stacking, maybe some plugins and so on is probably the way to do it. And eventually you can try and code your own MCP as well, which is a lot level.
That's interesting. So when's your AI search biz launching?
Yeah, we've got a tentative date of mid-March. So we're not going to be quiet about it. I post daily on LinkedIn at this point, so certainly if you follow me there, you'll see it. And yeah, just it's going to be a heap of fun, man. Like, reconnecting with people I've known in the industry for 20-25 years. It's going to be cool. Like, they're going to be doing workshops with us. We're going to have some events as well throughout the year. And yeah, the goal is really to just give out as much knowledge as possible and share our network, playbooks, resources, thinking. Like we're all learning together as well,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's not like we have the answer to everything, but I think by bringing a community together, there's a better chance that we'll evolve through this and all, really thrive as well, which is key.
Yeah, I'll put this on the show notes.
Yeah,
where
sweet,
people
dude.
can join.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, brother. That was fucking
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, thank
Love
you.
that.
Yeah, that was good chats.
We're going to get kicked out, but we could keep going for hours.
Yeah,
That's
I
so
know.
good. We'll do a round 2.
Yeah, this is good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.